Her name was Lily, and she was 22 years old, graduating at the top of her class despite everything life had thrown at her. She had grown up learning how to be strong too early, learning how to survive without asking for help, because help rarely came. Her mother had passed away when she was 16, taken by an illness that drained not only her body but every ounce of stability from their small world. Her father had disappeared long before that, choosing his own escape over responsibility, leaving Lily with memories that felt more like unanswered questions than love. From that point on, Lily learned to stand alone, to work nights at a diner while studying during the day, to smile through exhaustion, and to keep her pain tucked away where no one could see it. Graduation day was supposed to be the moment all of that struggle finally meant something. But when the ceremony ended and the crowd surged toward the exits, reality hit her with a quiet cruelty. There was no one calling her name, no arms waiting to wrap around her, no camera flashing to freeze the moment. She watched as classmates ran toward parents, siblings, and grandparents, watched bouquets being handed over, watched tears of pride being wiped away by loving hands. Lily told herself she didn't care, that she had made it this far alone and didn't need anyone now, but her chest ached with a loneliness so sharp it almost stole her breath. She sat down on the steps near the edge of the field, pretending to check her phone, pretending she was waiting for someone, pretending she belonged. As minutes stretched into nearly an hour, the stadium slowly began to empty. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the grass, and the celebration faded into silence. That was when she noticed him, not all at once, but as a presence that felt different from the rush of everyone else. He was a man in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, standing a short distance away with a small boy by his side. The boy clutched a folded program and swung it back and forth, while the man scanned the crowd with a softness in his eyes that made Lily look away almost instinctively. She wasn't used to being seen with gentleness. The man was a single father named Daniel, though Lily didn't know that yet. He had come to the ceremony because his sister was graduating as well, but she had left early, surrounded by friends and family, while he stayed behind to help clean up and keep his son from getting lost in the crowd. Daniel had learned patience the hard way. After losing his wife in a sudden accident 5 years earlier, he had been forced to become both parents to his son, learning how to nurture, comfort, and guide while carrying his own grief quietly in the background. He understood loneliness not as an idea, but as something that sat beside you even when you were surrounded by people. As he prepared to leave, Daniel noticed Lily sitting alone, long after everyone else had gone. There was something about her stillness that stopped him, something familiar in the way she stared at nothing while clearly feeling everything. He recognized that posture, the posture of someone who had learned to disappear in plain sight. His son tugged at his hand, impatient and tired, but Daniel gently asked him to wait. For a moment, he hesitated, unsure if stepping closer would be intrusive or unwelcome. But then Lily wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her gown, and he knew he couldn't walk away. He approached slowly, not wanting to startle her, his footsteps soft against the concrete. Lily sensed someone nearby and stiffened, bracing herself for pity or awkwardness, the kind she had learned to avoid. But when she looked up, she didn't see judgment or curiosity. She saw concern, quiet and genuine. Daniel didn't ask questions. He didn't comment on her being alone. He simply stood there, close enough to acknowledge her, far enough to respect her space. In that moment, the silence between them felt heavier than words. Something about his presence broke the wall Lily had built so carefully. Maybe it was the way his son leaned against his leg, safe and trusting. Maybe it was the exhaustion in Daniel's eyes that mirrored her own. Or maybe it was just the simple fact that someone had noticed her without expecting anything in return. Tears she had held back all day finally spilled over, and she bowed her head, ashamed of how vulnerable she suddenly felt. Daniel sat down on the steps a few feet away, his son settling beside him. He didn't try to fix anything. He didn't offer advice or platitudes. He simply shared the space, allowing her grief to exist without needing justification. In a world that constantly demanded explanations, this quiet understanding felt like a lifeline. Lily took slow breaths, her sobs gradually easing, the tightness in her chest loosening just enough for her to think again. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and purple, Daniel finally spoke, not with words meant to solve her pain, but with ones meant to acknowledge it. He told her she wasn't invisible, that finishing something so difficult without support was something to be proud of, even if it didn't feel like it right now. Lily listened, stunned by how deeply those simple sentiments reached her. No one had ever said those things to her before, not without strings attached. They talked for a while, sharing pieces of their lives without diving into every detail. Lily spoke about working nights, about losing her mother, about how graduation felt less like an ending and more like standing at the edge of something terrifying. Daniel shared that he understood fear disguised as independence, that sometimes strength wasn't about standing alone but about letting someone stand beside you, even briefly. His son listened quietly, his small presence a reminder that brokenness didn't have to be the end of a story. When it was time to leave, Daniel did something Lily would remember forever. He asked if she had a photo from the day. She shook her head, embarrassed, explaining she hadn't taken any. Without making a big deal of it, he offered to take one. Lily hesitated, then nodded. She stood beneath the fading stadium lights, her gown catching the last glow of the day, and for the first time, she smiled, not for the camera, but because someone cared enough to capture the moment. It wasn't a perfect photo, but it was real, and it was hers. They parted ways soon after, exchanging nothing more than a first name and a quiet sense of gratitude. Lily walked away feeling lighter than she had all day, carrying with her the knowledge that kindness could come from unexpected places, that being alone didn't mean being forgotten. Daniel watched her go, hoping she would be okay, hoping that small moment had mattered as much to her as it had to him. In the weeks that followed, Lily replayed that encounter often. Whenever doubt crept in, whenever she questioned her worth or her future, she remembered the way a stranger had seen her when no one else had. It gave her courage to apply for jobs she once felt unqualified for, to believe that her story didn't end with loss. She eventually found work in her field, slowly building a life that felt less about survival and more about possibility. Daniel, too, carried the moment with him. He spoke of Lily sometimes, not by name, but as a reminder to his son that kindness didn't have to be loud or dramatic to change a life. He taught him that noticing people mattered, that small gestures could echo far beyond the moment they were made. In helping Lily, Daniel had unknowingly healed a small part of himself, reaffirming that even after loss, he still had something meaningful to give. Years later, Lily would look back on her graduation day not as the loneliest moment of her life, but as the day she learned something profound. She learned that being strong didn't mean being untouched by pain, and that even on days meant for celebration, it was okay to grieve what you never had. Most importantly, she learned that compassion, when offered freely, could change the direction of a heart.